Hello everyone, welcome back to another What I've Been Playing. If you missed it, I did an unboxing for the deluxe edition set here on the PS5 of the Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 Remastered collection. I'd love to hear what you think of these remastered editions of these classic games, or what else you've been playing as we wrap up the year 2024. I thought these were a brilliant collection of some of my favorite games from the PS1, but games I had not replayed in many years. So it was fun to relive those fond memories and to play them in a new fashion. They look beautiful, and one of my favorite things about this collection, I kept going back and forth because it was so much fun, was at the single touch of a button to go back and play the games as they originally looked on the PS1, and then just hit the button again. Now you have the remastered look and see the differences, and it was so much fun. And every level I would switch back and forth just to check it out, and it was so cool. And I love the way they were done to where everything just looked like a fresher, cleaner, more detailed version. Nothing was radically changed. It just looked like as if these games had first launched on, say, the Dreamcast or the early days of the PS2 rather than the PS1. That was kind of how I would describe the way the visual upgrade looks. They looked fantastic. The only thing I'll say, visual-wise, was that for some reason, when the remastered graphics were used, everything seemed a bit darker. There was some more work with shadows and things that were done, but overall, just the general lighting was darker in the remastered, and then it switched to the classic look, and everything kind of brightened up. That was one thing that I noticed that was a bit odd. But overall, I thought they looked fantastic. They're beautiful, and I spent most of the time playing in the remastered. And I prefer this so much more than a complete remake of something. I thought, to me, this was the perfected way that I would want to replay a lot of old classic games on a new console. And that also went into the controls. I also love that you could very easily just go in one menu and switch back and forth between the original tank controls and the more modernized control scheme. So there's something for everyone. You could really just play through these how they originally were and replay them then with your remastered visuals and controls, switch back and forth. The customization ability of the experience was fantastic. And I was a little mixed on the two styles of the controls. I thought they were done beautifully. They work flawlessly, and it feels like you're playing a much more modern game, and even just moving Laura around feels so much more smooth, and absolutely love the remastered controls. But there are many times where I would switch back to the classic controls, the tank controls, and it might be just more of that's how I experienced these games originally, and I'm a little more comfortable with. But it was really in just very specific instances, because I would play with the remaster controls most of the time and really actually preferred them, but then some of the more complicated jumps and the underwater controls, there were a few moments where I would just have to switch back to the classic tank controls because I was not liking the way they felt with the remaster controls, with the new, more modern control scheme. And for me, part of that is, I think, the way a lot of the more complicated jump puzzles and things like that were designed. They were designed specifically for those tank controls, and so it felt more comfortable for me to play those parts. But then things where I was just kind of running around an environment, I would switch to because the movement is so much more fluid, to the more modern controls. So I like being able to switch back and forth for that reason. I just found doing things like slowly backing up and moving from side to side, doing those side cartwheels, like the side flips and things like that, were much more intuitive for me with the older control scheme, and it just seemed to fit those moments more effectively. So I don't know, so it was a bit back and forth, and I was very happy that you could switch back and forth between the two of them. Overall, just a brilliant experience, and I still have my PS1 copies, and they're more just sort of a legacy collector piece now, because I'll probably never go back to those particular copies just because of how these are the perfect combination of being able to, if I want to play it more like I did back in the day, I can with these, and if I want to experience in a newer, refresh state, I can do that as well. Having that option kind of means that it's not just an extra set and a different way of experiencing it, it kind of replaces the old ones for me. And the biggest thing, by far, because I love the Tomb Raider series, one of my favorite franchises, and I've played all except the last couple, like the newest ones I'm not the biggest fans of, but especially all the classic ones and the first sort of reboot cycle with Legend and Underworld and Anniversary. I love all those. But I'm not really great at the Tomb Raider games, especially these first three. I've always found them to be so difficult, and even though I love them, it's like this love-hate with forcing my way through sections that are just, oh my gosh, unbelievably difficult. But here, the ability to save whenever, that is the biggest thing that'll mean these are the ones I'm going to replay when I replay these games, because that is a life-saving feature, particularly in Tomb Raiders 1 and 3. I always found 1 to be, for me, feels the least comfortable, and I always found it to be a little more difficult, and 3, like, once you're dead. I love Tomb Raider 3, but I always found it to be the easiest to die in, and being able to save anywhere, oh my gosh, it just makes the experience so much more fun. And the other thing, too, that was fun about these is I always remembered Tomb Raider 2 as being my favorite of these three original, and it still is. I think that some of the storytelling, and there's some things in 3 that might be a little bit better, and I really love the levels in Nevada and in the jungle in 3, but overall, I feel like just the general style and vibe of 2 just clicks with me for some reason, and I really like a lot of the levels in 2 a lot, and it's still my favorite, and it was fun to kind of replay these and feel the same way about them. So they are 3 amazing classics. The experience I had with these was fantastic, and when I go back and replay these games, which I definitely will again someday, it's going to be this set. It was amazing. I'd love to hear what you think of this collection.